Hello, Grants Pass. My name is Ray Lozano with Prevention Plus, and this is
Dahlia. I was going to say your daughter.
yeah.
His daughter, Dahlia.
You forgot to put the word amazing in front of daughter, so yeah.
Aww.
And we are part of a small team that is going to be helping your students transition from eighth grade into ninth grade, because that's a huge year, and that's a big thing that's going to be taking place because there's a lot of changes going on, especially if your kids are really involved in eighth grade with sports and activities, and it just is this much smaller environment. And then they're going into this big, huge environment. Do you remember that at all, Dahlia?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then when you're going into high school, you just feel like everyone else knows exactly what's going on, and somehow you have just been dropped in the middle of it. And that is a really scary thing, especially if you end up going to a school where maybe your friends went to a different school and everything's new and everything seems so huge. And suddenly it feels like your little world that you've lived in has just opened up in like to an incredible degree.
Yeah.
So yeah, huge transition and something that we want them to be as prepared as possible to go through.
Yeah. Yeah. I know this is forever ago, but I went to a little tiny school, and there was only, like, when I was in eighth grade, it was weird. There was sixth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders. And we were in one large building, and it was all separated with bookshelves. And going to high school felt like I was going from, this tiny little town like Grants Pass and being dropped in the middle of New York City, and just finding my classrooms and stuff was so intimidating. So we have an understanding. Dahlia has a much closer understanding than I do when it comes to this, but we definitely are, going to assist your students going into high school. Now, please understand, this is our first year trying this. So we're trying out some stuff. We're going to see what works and, what needs to be fixed and what we need to strengthen and all that. But there's one thing I want to talk about real quick. And if you go to YouTube and you just Google the term RAT, R-A-T, Park, P-A-R-K, they did this amazing experiment with rats and how, and I know this can sound weird, how to keep them off drugs. And so back when I was in school and all that, they showed us, this commercial, this is your brain on drugs. And then they showed this rat hitting this button to get drugs, and this is just not talking specifically about drugs, but just for your kids. And so they said, wow, drugs are really addictive. Well, they made this thing called Rat Park, and rats actually got themselves off of drugs, and they didn't even start using it. And what it came down to, and this is the part that I want to talk about, is purpose. Your kids need to have a purpose as they're going into high school, and they need to have a purpose and an understanding a little bit of who they are and types of groups that they should be involved in and where they fit into all of that. So parents, that's where it's going to come down to what you're going to be doing and how we're going to assist you in all of this. So we're going to be talking about purpose. We're going to be talking about what we're going to be doing. We're not going to make this too long, but let me go ahead and start this presentation and show you all of the information that we got back from the survey that we did at the end of the school year last year. Because what we did is we wrote this grant and we had an understanding of what we wanted to do. We sent out this survey, and the survey came back with a lot more specific information that we need to do to help you with your students, your kids, transitioning into high school. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So this is our Grants Pass survey that we did, and going to be talking about that. So the first one we have, I'll take this first one if you don't mind, Dahlia. Yeah. The first question we asked is, what do you believe is the biggest academic challenge your teen will be facing transitioning into high school? And we got 291, almost 300 surveys back, which is a great number. And this one makes complete sense. Adjusting to a new school environment and expectations. And so that was the biggest one that's not the biggest one. Increased workload and academic rigor and the difficulty of that. Dahlia, do you remember how the workload changed and all of that?
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember in middle school, all of the teachers would kind of talk to each other. So they all kind of knew how much work the other one was giving them. And they tried to prepare us for high school. But when we got into high school, every teacher just had so much work. So sometimes it would be like there wouldn't be so much work, and then all the teachers would have work at the same exact time. So it's so confusing. And then the workload, because you're learning such big new topics, you're going from just like, oh, history and math. Next thing you know, you're in advanced algebra and it's
Oh
all this
yeah.
new stuff, and like this real specific kind of history. So yeah, that is really a big concern for young people, is just getting them ready for this work is going to be very different and it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, without a doubt. And so if you want to turn your camera on and turn it off real quick again one more time, I think it's kind of messing up on the bottom. But we got some comments back on this, and I think one of the comments kind of like sums up a bunch of the other comments, and it talks about the workload and how are they going to adjust to this big workload that they're going to be having. And this is one of the things that we're going to be addressing in some of the podcasts that we're going to be doing to help students. But what I have seen working with a lot of junior high kids is that, and just like me, I put stuff off for a long, long time, and it builds up and builds up and builds up. And in your head, you think, I'll just put this off and, I'll do that assignment later. Because I even remember when I was in school, a teacher gave us this assignment and they're like, oh yeah, you got 30 days to do this, experiment with baking soda. And so I remember when they said that, I immediately thought 30 days, cool. And what day did I start on? Day 29, right? And I put it off and there was so much stress. So we're going to be talking about that in some podcasts, just how to face that extra workload. So that's one of the things that we're going to be covering. Let's look at the next question that we got.
Next question, which of the following do you think will impact your teen's social life as they transition to high school? This one, we almost had a three-way tie between making new friends and navigating social circles, coping with peer pressure and social expectations, including, illicit substances, and balancing social activities and academic responsibilities. Those are all really big concerns. I would say especially coping with peer pressure. That is a really tricky one. And, just kind of how do you find your way in this new school? How do you figure out how to make good friends? How do you figure out, what do I do if I get a friend group that accepts me and next thing I know, they want me to try vaping,
Right.
And so just kind of navigating all of those big questions that young people have.
Right. One of the things we're definitely going to be doing is talking to your students in 8th grade about vaping, about marijuana, about alcohol, all of those types of substance. And please understand, when we present this information, it's non-judgmental information. All we're going to be doing them is giving them a whole bunch of information and facts, and not, any type of judgment in it. But just if you use a vape, here's how easy it is to get addicted. Here's how much nicotine they put inside a vape. If you drink alcohol, here's what's going to be taking place. Now, one of the things that we got in the comments is talking about bullying. How is my child, and this kind of sums up a whole bunch of the comments, how's my child going to, navigate bullying? And how's that going to be, taken care of when they get to high school? So that's one of the podcasts we're going to be doing, is talking about bullying from two perspectives, from the end of receiving it and, and then the other side of how do you deal with that? So when it comes in, and then how do you get rid of it? So that's one of the things we're going to be talking about. Question number 3 that we got, in your opinion, what support or resources do you think your teen needs the most during this transition period? And so, man, we had a huge one at 62% was time management and organization tools. And that is so true. I mean, I could even use that at this age, having those types of tools and stuff. But there's so many different apps out there. There's so many different ways to organize all of that. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be addressing. And so when I look at all the comments that we got back, one of the things that we got is, how's my child going to navigate note taking? How are they going to learn, what to be doing in high school? What type of activity should they be involved in? And how are they going to pick new friends? And so those are some of the things that we're going to definitely be talking about. But that is going to be one of the tough things, is new friends. Because I know when you walk on a campus, brand new, and just, not knowing anybody there. I'll tell you what was the worst for me, because I actually had to switch my senior year to a different school. That was lunchtime. That was the worst, kind of holding that tray of food, looking around like, who do I sit with, and trying to find, the right table. And it took me, probably about 2.5, 3 weeks before I finally had somebody to sit down and talk with. So we're going to be talking about time management, organization, tools, and especially, making friends and how to get involved with activities. Anything you want to add to that, Dahlia?
Yeah, I think just the time management and organizational tools, that is so useful, because I know when I was in high school, I just did not know how to be organized. And I think for young people, there's a lot of different ways that you can organize in a way that works for you.
Right.
And I just feel like when I was younger, it was very like, this is how you do it. You have these folders and you have these, types of notes and this and that. And all of that was helpful, but it didn't really work for me. So kind of showing them like, hey, here's some different ways to organize your time and organize your notes and stuff in a way that works for you.
Yeah. And there's so many resources out there for that nowadays. And so that's going to be a plus. And we'll definitely be talking about that throughout the school year. So next one, go ahead.
Next one, what concerns or anxieties do you have about your teen's emotional well-being as they transition to high school? This one's a big one for sure. The top answers were peer pressure or peer relationships and social. Is it just peer relationships
and social activities?
Social activities, thank you. And social activities, stress and anxiety related to academic performance, and then self-esteem and confidence issues. And so those are all things that we're definitely going to be touching on, especially if you can help a young person kind of find good friends or find friends who, motivate them in a positive way, then that can really help tie into the academic issues too. Because, if you get friends who maybe you all can study together, that can really take a lot of ease off of both your social circles and your academic performance.
Right. In the comments, we got a lot of things that you see on a daily basis, when we work in schools, is definitely the bullying aspect. How's my child going to navigate that? And then the other thing is racism and stereotypes. And so we're going to definitely be talking about those because those are real issues. I mean, bullying is a big deal. And, it just how it makes you feel internally, how it destroys your self-esteem, and how it like cripples you in some areas. So we're definitely going to be talking about that. And parents, you're going to be, one of the greatest resources to your kids when it comes to that. I know a lot of times we talk to our kids and they're like, but they do take all this information in. So we're going to be talking about how to talk to your kids about those types of issues. And the last one, I don't want to make this video too long, and this had a huge response on this. How prepared do you feel your teen is for the increased independence and responsibility that comes with high school? And so we got somewhat prepared, and I was pretty happy with that answer. But the response that we got from parents, they feel mostly prepared because they're actively involved, with their kids and the activities that their kids are doing. A lot of them had some great responses, like, I want to be there for my child, and they want to do a lot of activities with them. One of the responses that I had that I really thought was pretty amazing when it comes to this, being prepared, is just being an ear for your child. And so one of the responses that we had was talking about how they take their kids out and they do nothing. And I don't mean nothing by just sitting in the car, but they either go out to eat and just talk about nothing, And I love that response because it's just like a safe space for your kids to be able to go and, all right, we're going to dinner. We're not going to talk about dishes. We're not going to talk about homework. We're not going to talk about cleaning my room. We're going to talk about fun stuff, about video games, or going to be talking about, stuff that they like to do and stuff that you like to do, or cooking.
What kind of music they're listening to?
What was that?
What kind of music they're listening to?
Yeah, what kind of music they're listening to, and all of that. And that really helps, I believe, a child be prepared when they're going into high school. because there's so much stress, so much pressure. It's a brand new deal. It's like if there's any adults listening right now that have had to switch jobs and go into a new job, it's just really stressful. So for our curriculum, the thing that we're doing, 8th grade, planning and encouragement. So there's going to be a lot of planning and encouragement for your kids. We're going to assist from school and multiple I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. Assist from school and multiple agencies that are going to be working with your kids. We have some people on the campus on Friday. And then assistance to parents via Webinar Jam podcast. So we're going to put out some podcasts that are going to be covering the comments and concerns that you had, and then 9th grade transition into high school. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's some of the stuff that we're going to be covering. And I hope your camera is working.
I'm not sure why it's not. It was working just a second ago.
Yeah, well, it's kind of good because we're right here at the end. So yeah. So when you click on it, nothing takes place, huh? No? Okay. Well, we'll be okay. But I think it's going to be a great year this year. I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff coming out. And again, we do have, this is going to be our first year trying to experiment and figure out the best way to handle this. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things, and be looking out for the podcast when we send that out. Dolly, anything you want to add to this?
Nope, just that we're really excited to be able to incorporate this program, helping young people make this really big transition and helping parents make that transition with them.
Yeah. All right. We will see you on the next broadcast that we do. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.